Y'all see this judge's face? This judge has had enough of the coddling of the ASHguardians of Afghanistan. These people, she's like, they are useless because they have been coddled too much. And y'all have got to see this. So we got Dusty here. Dusty is being represented by this young woman, and she was up here in court, in that woman's court, fumbling over her words, trying to explain to the judge why this man needed to be out, despite the fact of him having multiple infractions after getting in trouble the first time. So you are first going to hear this woman speak.
He's completed some defensive driving courses, some anger management courses and things like that. So, Your Honor, so what Mr. King wanted to share with the court was that he's been kind of proactive. So he says that he's completed some defensive driving courses, some anger management courses and things like that. But we understand that the court's main concern is the alcohol. So if there is perhaps any sort of monitoring that Mr. King can have while he's out of jail, or perhaps testing, he would be agreeable to something like that. But we just don't feel like him being in jail. I personally, I don't believe that he's going to be a danger. He's got the support of his grandmother, who's here in court with us today. And like I said, he's gainfully employed, and he does have a child, and he does have a lot to lose, and he understands that, especially having been in here.
Ms. Hahn, it's not necessarily that I think he's going to be a danger per se. The concern that I have is that he's gotten 2 subsequent charges, one of which definitely involves alcohol, since he got a DUI. And so all of these things coming into play, you can present all of this to me as the reason why I shouldn't put you in the jail, but none of that kept you from getting 2 subsequent charges after a DUI. I don't understand what's going on. Like, now I'm supposed to feel bad. Oh, he's got a 2-year-old. Well, that was your choice. Nobody told you to go out there and you got pending charges and your life is probably not stable and you out here having babies. I'm not a proponent of just willy-nilly having children and then using them to try and play on the court's heartstrings, because I feel like children deserve the absolute best that we can give them. And when we just out here having them and then trying to figure it out on the back end, I'm not a proponent of that. And I see your grandmama sitting back there with her hands over her face, praying for you and everything. And I think that's a good thing. But I think that you need to take some personal responsibility. You're 25, you've chosen to have a child and become a parent. But you also have committed, allegedly, you have 3 different pending cases, not charges. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pending charges before the court, and over the course of 2 years. And so I don't understand why I should now let you out again and risk you getting another charge. Because if you stay in jail, you'll come up next on the trial calendar. We can go ahead and try these cases and get them done. We can try them back to back to back.
So, one second.
Then we got the man's granny. This woman had to come in and talk about all of the reasons why her grandson and blah, blah, blah. This coddling of these males by grannies and mamas and aunties and these people that put men on the pedestal while working the women like a mule. This is part of Afghanistan's problem. These people that are so male identified that they edify the male children like little princes, and these princes run out here and then they can run amok. But the judge was not going for it. She was like, ma'am, you've been out here on your own since you were 18. This dude is 25. Why can't he just do the right thing? And Granny sitting up here, but he.
Grandma, no. Come on up, ma'am. See, your grandson is in this situation because somebody's always taking up for him, and he's not getting responsibility for the things he's doing.
I understand that, Your Honor, and thank you for allowing me to speak. But what we did, his mother and I, when they were having their spats, we only go pick up the baby now, or me or his mother.
And you shouldn't have to do that because they should be grown enough. If they're grown enough to have a baby, they should be grown enough to co-parent. But anytime the grandmama and the mama have to get involved in transporting the baby because they can't get along, that tells me that they're immature and shouldn't have had the baby in the first place. So he needs to grow up. And no, I'm not going to facilitate that. No, ma'am.
Well, actually, it was his idea
I don't care.
not to have the interaction.
I don't care. He had a baby with that woman. If he can't now co-parent with her, that tells me something about the fact that they shouldn't have even had a baby together. So no, y'all can't have any contact with her until such time as that baby is legitimized through the courts.
And what court do you do that?
Superior Court. And that's not your job, ma'am. That's his job.
I just like to have the information.
I get that, but we are raising trifling men. We're doing so much for them that we're not raising men. We're raising little boys that some other woman is going to be burdened with taking care of. Even when if he gets back with Kay and Frazier, she going to have to do everything for him because you and his mama are coddling him. There was a time in this country where once you left your parents' house, you were responsible and you had to make your way and be responsible. Every successful person I know, including myself, you get from your parents instructions when you finish high school. Hey, I don't know what you're going to do. College, military, work, but you can't live here. And we are so busy coddling. I know he has a place now, but we're so busy coddling, especially young men. We seem to be wanting to raise women to be responsible. You got to go out and get a job. You got to do this. You got to do that. But parents continue to coddle these young men. And so they end up not being responsible for themselves or anybody else. He's a parent now, so he's grown. So anything that happens on his behalf or his child's behalf, he has to handle it. Y'all need to stop stepping in.
I respect what you just said, but in the case,
no buts.
He stepped in and is taking care of her daughter that is 4.
So
people are feeling the judge, yay, another intelligent judge, she has it right. Adults need accountability for their behaviors. Yes, they do. But it starts young. We have got to stop, especially in the Black community, loving our sons and raising our daughters. We've got to stop elevating men in society more than women simply because they were born with a peen. That is part of the problem. The whole society, all of patriarchy needs to be deconstructed. It needs to be deconstructed so that we can reconstruct a society that is more balanced.
They weren't mature enough to co-parent.
I recognize that, but I do want it to be on record that he is.
No, I didn't say he wasn't a good parent, and there is a path to him being able to parent his child. I told you what it is. But what I'm saying to you is you and his mama can't live his life for him. And as long as y'all are doing for him, then he won't be able to do for himself.
Thank you for that, Your Honor.
I'm just saying, you recognize what I'm saying. When you left your parents' house, how old were you?
18.
And did they say you never went back, did you?
Never went back.
Okay. This man is 25, and I'm gonna tell you what my grandmother said. My grandmother raised 13 children, and you know what she said? She said, I have never had to stand bond for any of them. But you know what she also said? If you do something, don't call me. She's right. I raised you to be responsible. I raised you to do the things that you should know how to do. And so of her 13 children, none of them had to stand in a courtroom or call come get them or call my grandfather to come get them because I've raised you. So now you're on your own to be responsible the way I taught you to be. And we have gotten so far away from that. We got kids now telling their parents off, taking their parents' vehicles, hitting and interacting with their parents in such negative ways. But at a minimum, we're not raising children to be responsible. At 18, your parents said, that's it. And you went out and you made your way. And you look reasonably successful. Now, I don't know you, but you don't look like you're struggling. And what I'm telling you is until you let somebody get out there and do what they need to do. And you looking at me in this role, but I'm gonna tell you right now, when I went to college, my parents was like, okay, you made it into college. All those student loans, I had to pay. When I went to law school, I had to pay. I was working 2 jobs in college and going to school, 2 jobs and going to school. There have been other times in my life when I worked 2 jobs and gone to school. So what I'm saying to you is he can do if y'all step out of the way and make him do it. But don't keep coddling him and we gonna facilitate seeing the baby and we gonna make sure because y'all can't co-parent because y'all fighting each other that we gonna make it easy to go back and forth. Go to court. He can go to court, set up a visitation schedule and get a superior court judge to determine how this is gonna happen. But in all things, he's gonna be a parent for the rest of his life. So if he can't get it right now at the beginning when it's easy, it's not gonna get any easier. It's not.
And with all due respect, Your Honor, I don't condone. I didn't help you get into a mess. I can't help you get out, but I do support helping you through it. That's the way I look at it with my kids and my grandkids.
I got you. But what I'm saying to you is remember how you made it. And people think it's harsh. But when your parents said, you 18 now, you on your own, you might have struggled. But right now, if you face with any situation in your life, you're going to figure out how to make it work.
Yeah.
Because you've had that experience. We don't let our kids struggle. So when they get out there, the first thing they're going to do is turn back to mama. What am I going to do now? Well, if you struggled when you first got out there and made your way and realized you got to work, you got to pay bills, you got to find a place to stay, you got to maintain a place to stay. When you do those things, it makes you responsible and able to handle whatever challenge comes your way.
This person says, these parents and grandparents are just pathetic. These are grown men, adults, and this judge hit the nail on the head. Bravo to her for speaking the truth to all of them. And then this person said, weird how there's never a father, huh? And that is a societal issue. That's a community-wide issue that needs to be addressed. But for too long, so many of them could just drop some sperm and head out, leaving the women to hold the bag. But then the bag that what the women are doing is not preparing these dudes. And then this is what happened. These dudes, Dustaveeous, ASHguardians, Glocktaveeous, is what happened. And I'll end it with this screenshot. Learned helplessness. That's what we psychologists call it, and that's what it is. And you don't have to be a hard ass about it. It's simply allowing children to make mistakes and saying, I know you can do this, and struggle a bit until they reach the satisfaction of mastery, starting with the smallest things and knowing when you need to step in. At some point, you got to let your kids make some mistakes. You got to let them fall down so that they can figure out how to get back up. But if he's a little prince, if he's a little king, if we're like protecting the men and never really like making them do anything, this is what happens. And it's happening over and over again. So at some point we have got to just turn the page and figure something out. And this person says, this judge speaks the whole truth. My parents are guilty of this issue. I was raised to be independent. Graduated from college, get a job, save your money, get married, have children. I was successful. My brother was coddled to no end. I am writing my boys right now to make sure they are productive, successful in their own right, and make a beautiful Black woman an awesome husband. You know, she doesn't know if her children are going to be husband material or whatever, but at least she's trying to do something different, trying to raise a productive adult versus one of these coddled princes. You guys go ahead and weigh in. So I'm sure by now we've all seen this video of Glocktaveeous flying across the courtroom to pummel this judge. This judge barely saw it coming, and then all of a sudden this man is on top of her and going at it, all because he is dangerous. I mean, look at him. So Glocktaveeous said he was having a bad day. After the attack, Glocktaveeous told a marshal that the judge has it out for me and the judge is evil, according to a document from the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. A man who brazenly attacked a Las Vegas judge after leaping over the bench and slamming her into a wall told corrections officers he had a bad day and tried to unalive her, a police document shows. Court cameras showed the moment that Glocktaveeous, 30, appeared to Superman over the bench during a hearing Wednesday and pushed Clark County District Court Judge Mary Kay Halthus against the wall. A brawl between him and court officials ensued, and 3 people were injured. This is what his lawyer probably looked and felt like with his man Supermaning across the bench, across the court. The judge was preparing to sentence Redden on a charge of attempted battery with substantial bodily harm when he rocketed across the room, basically proving why he should be sentenced to jail. After the attack, Redden told the marshal, "The judge has it out for me. She's evil." The marshal said that he also apologized, saying, "I'm sorry you guys had to see that. Not, I'm sorry because I was being like that. You know, whatever. Being violent isn't the problem. Them seeing it is the problem." In the melee, Redden slammed Holthus' head against the wall, struck her once on the head, and pulled out some of her hair, the document said. After the attack, one witness said the judge hid under her desk, balled up, covering her face. Holthus, who was back in court Thursday, was treated in the Justice Center and later brought to a hospital by a family member for her pain. She said Redden was big, strong, and angry. The document said Holthus's marshal in the courtroom, Shane Brandon, was preparing to handcuff Redden when he vaulted across the room. He tripped while trying to apprehend Redden, dislocated his shoulder, and received 25 stitches to a gash on his face. Redden also punched a corrections officer in the court, and Holthus law clerk Michael Lasso was cut several times on his hand. Redden was eventually taken into custody. Later, while he was being searched, he uttered that he had a bad day. Yeah, that is an understatement. The incident left the courtroom a wreck with blood spattered on court documents, Holthus' desk, the wall, and the floor near the witness stand, according to the police report. Holthus said in a statement on Thursday, "I would like to thank all the well-wishers and others who have expressed concern for me and my staff. I am extremely grateful for those who took brave action during the attack." Redden is due back in court next week to be sentenced in the original case. He will be charged with multiple counts of battery in the attack. He is going to definitely get sentenced now, and he's going to get bonus time because of how he acted and because of his lack of emotional intelligence, and the fact that it was a woman sentencing him. He probably came for her just a little bit harder because how dare she? You guys go ahead and weigh in.